Hello guys, today I'm going to show you how to get started on a vase. Just a reminder, we are creating what we've already designed. So you have your sketchbook. You wanted to go ahead and get your sketchbook out today. You have your vase. Just a reminder, this is the neck, what we call the body, foot, and handle. So today I'm going to teach you how to make a vase that will eventually look something like this. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First, you want to get your supplies out. So I want you to have a little container of water. I have a fork for scoring. I also have a pin tool. And then one of my favorite tools that I've been using lately is just your basic plastic disposable knife. All right, so a lot of you guys still have your clay wrapped in your bags. You want to use about a quarter. We used about a quarter of the clay from your block. Now use about a third of the clay in your block that's left over. My block is a little bit smaller because this is my second vase that I'm making today. So I can rip my clay, and I'm gonna always make sure that I wrap my clay really well. Remember, clay loses its plasticity once it dries. So when I'm done with the clay that I need, I'm going to put it back in my Ziploc bag and zip it up. All right, so here I have my clay. All I need is, I want to make 2 balls of clay that are approximately the same size. So I went ahead and ripped those up. There we go. And I'm going to turn them into little balls. I can go like this. Notice I have canvas on my table. You know, I don't really want the clay to stick to my table, so I want to use a piece of canvas or a piece of paper. Here we have that. And then I'm rolling. Okay. So now I have 2 pieces of clay that are approximately the same size. And they're about the size of a golf ball. And I'm going to start making my pinch pot like this. I'm going to go ahead and take my thumb, put my thumb through, and I'm going to pinch. Pinch, 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 pinch. And I'm going to pinch my clay all the way up. I want to make sure I have a nice smooth interior. Again, I make this look very easy, and it's easy to me because I've done it a lot. So it may take you a couple tries. That's okay. All right, so I have one little pot here. And now I'm going to make a second pinch pot. This is going to be the belly of my vase. I'm going to stick my thumb in again. And I'm going to pinch, pinch, pinch. I want to make sure that my walls are even. And one of the things I'm looking for with this vase is I want it to be symmetrical. So I want everything, I want a mirror image. There we go. And I can kind of say, okay, is this going to connect well together? Maybe bring this out a little bit more. Okay. So normally I would put a piece of newspaper inside my little pot. It's starting to look like a potato. What I'm going to do is a lot of you do not have newspaper at home. So I'm taking this little piece of paper I have, and it's pretty much garbage. And I'm going to shove it inside. And, I can't fit it. This is too much. You may have to just eyeball it. But basically, I'm putting in paper into my pinch pot, and that is so that this form holds together. Okay, this is wet clay. It's gonna, I want this shape. It kind of looks like a potato. All right, so I have my newspaper, or my paper in this case. I'm now going to take a fork and I'm going to score the edge of my pot. You really need to score heavily. Score, score, score. Score heavily. Take this. I'm going to score heavily. I'm scoring heavily. All right. Now that I have scratched the surface here and here, I'm going to dip my finger in water. I've seen some people will use, instead of their finger, an old toothbrush. So if you have an old toothbrush at home, or sometimes if you have an extra paintbrush, you can use, I have a paintbrush, and just dab water. Okay. Now I'm going to put my paper inside my two little pinch pots. Okay, and now I've connected it. I'm compressing. I'm really kind of pressing in. Pressing in. And I'm going to use my knife. And again, I couldn't use this on clay that was leather hard or bone dry clay. It's really important that your clay is wet. You got to take good care of your clay. All right, so so now you can't even see the seam. All right, this does look like a potato. So I'm constantly referring to my picture. You know, what is my goal? This is my goal. Okay, this is my goal. So I look at this and I go, if this is the body, one part needs to be a bit narrower. So because I have the paper inside my two pinch pots, I can roll this. I can kind of abuse my clay a little bit. I can roll it around and it's not going to fall apart. Right now I'm making the shoulder. Rolling, rolling, rolling. All right. Now this shape looks a lot better. Look at how much more smooth it is too. I notice there's still a seam, so I'm going to take care of that immediately. Just like life, problems don't go away if you ignore them. So if you notice there's a seam, clean it up. Okay. And I'm rolling and rolling. All right. So I'm going to put this to the side. This is going to be the body of my vase. All right, here's the body of my vase. Ta-da! All right. Now I'm going to make my neck. So I'm going to take my clay and I'm going to roll it. Again, I would leave my picture out so that I'm constantly looking at it. I'm constantly looking at my picture to figure out how, oops, I just spilled my water. Oh my goodness. All right, so I've got my neck. I'm going to roll my neck out. And I kind of want my neck to flare out like a V. So I can kind of hit my clay. That's going to make it wider. And then I can roll my clay. All right. So now I can kind of see, okay, does that look okay? All right, not bad. Well, obviously, how am I going to get a hole? That's a problem. So I can take, I want to use tools that I know you have at home. I can take an old pencil, and I'm going to kind of take my pencil and drill a hole right through the middle. And twist. Okay, and this is kind of creating an opening. This is creating an opening. There we go. So I want to go ahead and pinch just a little bit so I can make this higher. Again, this is going to be the neck of my vase. This is the neck of my vase. And I want to make that a bit wider. Again, you want to make sure you don't want your walls too thin or too thick. So my wall is, you want your wall to be about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch thick. There we go. I'm noticing this is cracking a little bit, so just maybe add a little bit of water and smooth it out. Okay, so here's my neck. I can see through. All right, so now I would need to put it there. Now, can I just put it on there and call it a day? You guys all know, no way. I can't do that. So I'm gonna have to score again. I also, in order for this to work, I need a hole. So I want to just, first of all, check out my vase, decide how I like it. Maybe I want to flare this out. While the clay is wet, this is the time that you want to focus just on the overall form of the pot. You want to focus on the form. All right, so now I have my neck on here. I'm going to trace the inside. So I'm going to use my pencil, or I can use my skewer, and I'm going to trace the inside of my neck. I'm going to just trace around. There we go. And I have this little hole. Now I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to cut this out. Okay. Do I need to worry about the paper inside? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm just going to leave the paper in there. Because this kiln, when my clay is being fired, the paper's just going to burn out. The paper will just burn out. Fahrenheit 451. Paper will burn. Okay, and then of course I need to score this. Don't worry about messing up your pot when you score. I know for some kids, they're nervous. Oh, I'm going to mess it up. You're going to mess up your pot more if you don't score well. So score both sides. And then I'm going to take a little bit of water. Again, I can use my finger. If you have an old toothbrush, that's a really good way to add water to your clay pot. All right, so here we go. Now I've got this. I'm now going to make sure that I attach this really well. Press, and I'm really compressing the clay. You know, I'm pushing as hard as I can without destroying the pot itself. There we go. And then my favorite tool right now is this little plastic knife that I bought at, I think, Costco. I bought a bunch of plasticware. Here we go. And I'm scoring. I'm going to score the inside. I'm really blending in the clay. All right. Here's my cute little vase. All right, so I've got my vase. Now, I am missing the foot. Part of the assignment is you're going to have a neck, a body, and a foot. So I need some clay. I'm going to just use about this much, and I'm going to roll a coil. I'm going to roll a coil. Okay. Now again, for coil rolling, you don't want to press too hard. Just nice and easy. If you notice like one side's getting flat, just lift up your clay and gently press down. Okay. I'm rolling my coil. So you really want to make your vase in one sitting, and I'll tell you why. When you're building with clay, you want the clay to be at the same drying rate. So right now, the clay is wet. The only reason my vase is standing upright is because we're using paper. We're using paper to kind of hold it up. Okay? All right, so now I've got this coil. I'm going to turn it around. And I'm making, I've been calling this my little donut. I'm making a little donut. Making a little donut. All right, now I'm going to connect these. There we go. There's my little donut. See? How cute. All right, now I've got my vase, and I'm going to see how I'm going to place my foot on the bottom of my vase. Okay. All right, by this point, you guys should be able to tell me how to attach clay. I'm scoring. I'm scoring. I'm going to score this side also. I'm scoring this side. I'm going to add a little bit of water on both sides, and I'm going to press as hard as I can without wrecking my pot. And that's going to just take a lot of practice. Now I'm going to use my knife, and I'm going to blend in. I'm going to blend the clay. You see that? I'm blending the two pieces together. So this is a great assignment for a lot of reasons. It's pretty complex. You're learning how to use paper as a sculpting tool. You're learning how to attach multiple parts properly. And you're thinking about the design of a vase, right? Okay, so notice that my foot flares out a little bit. I want that. So again, this is kind of straight up and down. I want to kind of make my foot flare out a bit. And so I'm just gently pushing the clay outward. Okay. Now, I told you that handles are optional. But some of you guys, I think I want to definitely add a little handle to each side. I think it looks good. I'm also not afraid of a challenge. I need a little bit more clay. So again, I encourage all of you, if you're flying through assignments, you know, push yourself a little bit. Try to make it a little bit more challenging for yourself. So, somebody that added handles definitely would get an excellent. Oops. Just notice. All right. So how in the world am I going to make a handle? I'm going to sculpt my handles. And again, just if the goal is to make a symmetrical vase, I want to make my handles at the same time. So I want to I could weigh the clay. I'm not going to do that. I'm just sculpting a handle. I'm pulling the clay. Pinching it. I want to make sure I have about the same size. This is very rough. I notice this one's a little bit bigger, so I'm going to, of course, if one side's too big, I can just take a little bit chunk of clay off. Okay. I can kind of hit the clay if I want to. If I dampen my hands, I can kind of pull the handle. Okay. You also don't want to overwork your clay. I added some water and I'm pulling the handle slightly. All right. Again, if something doesn't look right at this stage, redo it. You're not going to get, your pot isn't going to look amazing the first time you try something, okay? I already made one of these today for a different class. And I decided I didn't like my video, so I'm redoing it. All right. So here's a handle. Here's another handle. This one, I think I need to bring out a little bit more. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to cut this at an angle. So notice one side's flatter than the other. I'm going to score this edge. And I'm going to I think I like that. I'm not sure. No, I want it to be like this. There we go. Again, I'm not committing to attaching it until I have both pieces up, and I can kind of say, do I like this? Do I need to adjust it? Kind of seeing where there's problems. Notice I'm turning my vase around to look at it from all angles. That's the challenging part about working three-dimensionally, is that you constantly have to be looking at it from all angles. Just like life. All right. That's better. I'm going to bring this one out, get my hands damp. I'm going to pull the handle just a little bit more so it's a little elongated. All right. Again, I'm going to score. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Again, look at how much I score. A lot of you guys are too you're afraid you're going to ruin the work by not scoring enough. Look at how much I scored. Now I'm going to add this and press. Look at that. It almost looks like ears, these handles. Okay, just like anything else, if I score, if I attach something, I'm going to score. Every time you connect clay, you have to score, and we're going to add just a little bit of water. Our next assignment, you're going to have to use slip. Normally, I introduce slip much earlier. All right, now I'm blending. Oops. Make sure your handle is where you want it to be. So again, the clay is damp. So you really want to make sure that you have the shape you want it to be at this stage. Because by tomorrow, it's going to be leather hard. Even if I wrap this in plastic, I'm not going to be able to maneuver and add. Okay, so again, I'm going to score both sides. Alrighty. And here we go. All right, this looks pretty ugly right now. There's a lot more I need to do. But the pot itself is built. The pot itself is built. And again, just like when you draw, I teach Art 1, and I'm constantly telling kids when they're drawing. Today we were working on facial features. 50% of drawing is just looking. And I would say that's true for sculpture too. You know, we're trying to make a vase. You drew out what you wanted. So you want to constantly refer to your picture. I'm going for symmetry. So I'm constantly asking myself, if I cut this in half, is it equal on both sides? Is it a mirror image? That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So notice that there is this little gap up here. There's a gap right here. So I'm going to fill that with a very soft piece of clay. Very soft piece of clay. I'm going to roll a tiny coil, and I'm going to fill this. Think of this as grout. If you've ever seen someone do tile work, this is grout, or what they call caulking. And I'm just kind of really making sure that this is blended in well. Okay? We don't want cracks. Okay? And even on the inside of my, where am I? The inside, see this? This is a mess. So again, I'm going to take a really soft piece of clay. It's already scored. I made a tiny little worm, and I'm going to fill in that crack. I'm going to fill it in. So this is probably the most technically challenging assignment I'm giving you. You know, I really want this piece to get through a firing. Okay. All right. I hope I'm not losing any of you. I know this is, you have, of course, the choice of working on your pot while I'm lecturing or just watching. I am a person that, of course, I'm an art teacher. I was completely incapable of watching a demo without puttering around, without sketching. I hated demos. So I 100% understand. I'd like, if you want to, if you'd be happy, you're welcome to work and listen and watch, or just watch. Whatever works for your learning style. But there's definitely a right way and wrong way to attach clay. Again, you score, add water, compress, blend, and then with our handles, you really want to fill in the little gaps. All right, so here's my vase, and I'm continuing to look at how I can improve my pot. If you are done in 5 minutes, you're not working hard enough. Okay? I want you to refine your work, constantly move it around, and look from all angles. Okay, so I'm pretty satisfied with my overall form. This looks very rough, and I'm not done, but I've built it, and I like the overall shape. I don't see any cracks or issues. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put this away until next class period. I've given all of you a plastic bag. It's really important that you wrap your work up in plastic. If it's not wrapped in plastic, it's going to dry and it won't be workable. So make sure you wrap your work up in plastic when you are satisfied with your overall form. And then next class period, I'm going to talk to you on ways to refine your work, okay? This is not something I would turn in right now. This is not the time to put your Zentangle designs on. This is the time you want to just wrap your work and let it sit until next class period. All right, guys, I can't wait to see your vase. Oh, one other thing. Let's say I want my pot fired, okay? That's not a requirement as we're in a remote setting, okay? You are graded on turning in your product, but if you want it fired, you need to write your initials on the bottom and period. So make sure you write your initials very clearly. So KB period 7. I don't have a period 7, but you want to make sure you put your initials on the bottom. If your initials are not on the bottom of your pot, I will not fire it. Okay, guys, I can't wait to see how you interpret your drawing and create a vase. Have a good day.